Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Let's do this.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode 343 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And you better watch yourself because we're watching. Always watching. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like I do every week with the ritual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Oh,
How is everyone? Is it cold where you are? Because it's cold here.
It's trying.
It's getting there.
We've had rain. In the past week, we've had sun, rain, and snow. Plenty of wind. I'm like,
you can keep that last one. Trust me.
I had to cancel my morning story times because of the snow, because they won't let us do any kids programs inside the library. But don't get me started on that, because I will rant and rave. But yeah, I was bummed because I woke up and I was like, there's snow. I'm like, well, not doing story time today. And yeah.
You know, you can't have the kids inside because then you might end up with a 2319.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Or, at least a trip to the HR office, in which case I might be on the news.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Oh, my.
I hope everyone's
speaking of the
okay.
news, yeah. Speaking of the news, we have just a little bit of fandom-related news.
Yeah.
Just like I said when I posted it on the Facebook page, this is why we write everything down in pencil. Because once again, the MCU, among other things, but mostly the MCU release dates have changed. So grab your eraser, kids.
A little part of me wonders if that was like a preemptive move because of the Hollywood, the strike that could have happened but didn't, and they were
it might be. Although 2 of these films are already done. So, and in post-production, but that still doesn't mean that, the potential strike couldn't have delayed things, because they are blaming it on production issues. So, which I know there's been with the Black Panther sequel, there's been some injuries on set that I'm sure have probably, caused some delays. So yeah, grab your erasers and your pencils, kids, because you now need to switch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness from March 25th to May 6th of next year. Thor: Love and Thunder from May 6th to July 8th. And Black Panther: Wakanda Forever from July 8th to November 11th. And that pushes the Marvels to early 2023, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania from February 17th to July 28th, 2023, which now means unless the Marvel somehow ends up in Ant-Man and the Wasp's old slot, I will not be getting an MCU movie for my 40th birthday.
Well, it does say early 2023.
Yes.
And they do try to, because they have these dates reserved for movies.
Yes.
Whether, what movie actually ends up in that slot is up to the studio's discretion. But I'm just like, okay, I'm pretty sure, going and that February 17th, that is typically a holiday weekend in the States here. It's President's Day.
Yep.
So I'm like, why wouldn't you just put it in the February 17th slot?
Yeah. I think because that particular movie is not actually in production yet.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well,
That'll do it.
then
I know
we'll
they're
see.
getting ready
but
because
they do
Brie
have-
Larson has been posting all of her workouts she's been doing with her trainer to get her back in Captain Marvel shape.
Yeah, they do kind of reserve, for lack of a better term, those dates, and so
Yes.
they're I can't imagine it wouldn't be in February, so you may still get it for your birthday.
That's fine. I don't really care what movie it is. I just, I was
You
really
want a
excited.
movie of some sort.
I was
You can-
really excited for a Marvel movie. Technically, it's
Yeah.
the day before I turned 40, but I'm turning 40 that year. So as far as I'm concerned, the entire month of February is my birthday.
Well, there you
so-
go. So as long as there's a Marvel movie in February,
Yes.
then
Happy birthday, Rachel.
there you go.
Mhm.
I'm
Um,
just
yeah.
I'm just looking at this like, really? That's how you phrased it. Okay.
Yeah.
Corporate speak.
Yes.
Gotta love
But and then in non-MCU but still Disney owned, the still untitled fifth Indiana Jones movie has been pushed from June 2023 instead of next July.
I keep forgetting they're doing that until I see, headlines or YouTube videos talking about fifth Indiana Jones movie. I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Yep.
After the last one. We'll say.
Funnily enough, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
First, we need to talk about our other piece of news, which is the trailer for hopefully will not be moving from kicking off Halloween. The next season of Doctor Who. Where we got our first look at the Sontarans in a very long time.
And they're going back to the old school design.
Yeah, I would say they're going
Sontarans.
to the overcooked baked potato
Yes.
look. Yeah, that Sontaran took off its helmet, and I'm like, are we back in the two doctors?
Dang, you ugly man.
Yeah.
Yeah. They squeezed the tinfoil a little too rough.
Yeah, I'm like, that is
not these are not the huggable little Dan Starkey.
Yeah, this is not the Strax Sontaran. These are road hard weary warrior. Maybe this is why Strax looks as good as he does, because he's not a soldier. He has a cushy job being a butler for a lizard woman from the beginning of time and her wife.
Wasn't he a nursemaid too to boot? Or
something like that. Yeah, I think he's always done like cushy jobs, so maybe that's why he looks as good as he does.
Yeah, although the Sontarans in season 4, those had the same look to them. So, they were the battle hardened warrior type. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll have like a really throwaway explanation like they did in Star Trek with the Klingons, where Worf was just like, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because like at this point, I'm just like I know the prosthetics and everything. We can do some really good looking Sontarans, so why does it look like an overbaked potato?
They cut the budget. They are really leaning into this Sixth Doctor era comparisons here.
Well, as a Sixth Doctor fan,
Well, yes,
not complaining that much.
I know. I consider the company I am in, but I'm just saying.
These are Sontarans we don't want to meet in a dark alley. Let's just put it that way.
They're looking.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a Sontaran is a Sontaran is a Sontaran, and you don't want to mess with them. So, not really going to push my luck there. So,
yes. We'll see how that goes.
But there's Santarans, there's Weeping, there's Ood,
Yes.
which I'm very interested on how they're going to be utilizing the Ood, because in general the Ood are not an adversary.
No,
They're a
not
peaceful
really.
race. So
Mhm.
I mean, they kind of, have that telepathy thing going, and they do, prophecy. Well, not really. Well, kind of prophecy-ish. Thinking back to the end of the first part of End of Time, when the 10th Doctor walks out in the snowy landscape with sunglasses and a pink lei.
yes,
Mhm.
I
Yes.
have
all the Ood are
cosplayed that
like-
Doctor.
Yes.
Like,
And the
your
Ood are
song's
all
going to
like,
be ending.
you shouldn't have stayed away.
Yes.
It's delaying the inevitable.
Yep.
We shall
So.
see. Maybe there'll be
Interesting.
something. But
Color me curious.
Mm-hmm.
and one other piece of news. I posted it earlier because it dropped just a few hours ago. The Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer, the newest one.
Yeah, I
Which-
stopped watching them.
Yeah, well, it's there and it's adorable.
Yeah.
Because Paul Rudd.
It's Paul Rudd.
He's Paul Rudd.
Everybody loves
and-
Paul Rudd.
And I'm trying to respect that Rachel doesn't want to be spoiled, but
Yeah.
there's a certain. Well, he's running through a Walmart, and there's a certain bunch
Well,
of
they had
creatures.
they had the mini Stay Puft Men in the first trailer.
Yes.
So.
Oh, I
that's-
missed those in the first trailer. It's the first time I've noticed them.
Yeah, no, they're in
any
the first.
trailer.
They're in the first trailer.
And they're so cute. I'm like, okay, I don't care if it's a shameless cash grab. I want, figures of the mini marshmallow dudes.
Give me mini Stay Puft Men.
Yeah, those are like the best.
It's like every.
and it's
like
one of those.
Yeah, it's like every franchise that even in the same franchise they'll try to outdo themselves. Like we had the Porgs in Star Wars, and then the Mandalorian was like hold my beer.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And then the
pretty much.
MCU was like hold my beer.
Mhm.
Mhm.
With a certain Pokemon-esque
Yes.
critter who I happen to have.
Ooh, you're
He's-
lucky. Every single time I try to go, it's sold out, and then I get an email.
He was
"Oh,
on clearance. I almost bought like all the ones that
Oh.
Target had.
You're kidding. My
No.
Target doesn't have them, and then I get the email. Oh, it's in your car. It's available for you to order. And I
Yeah,
click,
no, he
and
was
it's
half
on-
off at my Target. They had like 3 or
Oh.
4. I would have bought like all of them if I had no common sense.
Dang it!
but- Well,
I would've
then
known
you
that, I
turn
would've-
around and resell them.
Yeah, really.
Ugh.
He's sitting on my my bookshelf next to my my stuffed squishy BB-8.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
MCU. Then the MCU was like hold my beer, and then here comes Ghostbusters like hold my beer.
But this
So,
this one's got nostalgia bait to it, so
That's
it's
true.
like.
that
So
is
anyway,
true.
so the trailer's there. It's mostly just action. There's not a lot of plot relevant things that they have in there, so it's just kind of showcasing the action set pieces and things like that. So yeah, I mean, if you're avoiding spoilers, still avoid it, but it's just like it looks like it's going to be a fun ride, and everything that I've been able to read about it, early reviews of vague generalizations, I'm just like, okay, I think this one's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yep. So yay. Good stuff. Good stuff. And then in some kind of housekeeping, got some new episodes tangentially related to us
Mhm.
in the feeds. So gold
Yes.
standard in the main feed, episode 35 Lawrence of Arabia.
I saw the
Hello,
post.
old friend.
I've come
Yep.
to talk to you again.
Yes.
I saw the post that it was live, and I just started giggling.
Yeah, that was a discussion.
So
It shouldn't be
that
any
up and-
surprise to people that my opinion did not change.
so pull up your feed.
My
download it.
reasoning, my specific reasoning may have changed, but the overall opinion did not change.
Well, pop popcorn, y'all, because it'll be an entertaining one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also our friend Sean, I noticed he joined you
Yes.
guys on that one. So
Yep.
that's gonna be a fun.
He was very
listen.
excited to be joining us on that one, actually.
I kind of figured he would be.
So honestly, I think Sean's a masochist, but that's just me. Love you, Sean. And then over on the Patreon side, this month's Patreon episode is now available to the Gold Standard patrons, and Holly joined us. Speaking of Indiana Jones, to discuss
Yes.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm. No
Talking
camels.
about yeah. No camels. Still a Star Wars actor stuck in the desert, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. So yep, go check those out on whatever feeds that you follow, and
Yep.
like I said, have popcorn handy.
Mm-hmm.
We did thoroughly enjoy the Indiana Jones discussion, so
Yes, we did.
especially now that Nick has been converted. So
Yes.
because Nick has gone like most of his life never watching Indiana Jones. So
Really?
yes.
Yes.
That
yes.
is fascinating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he said he'd gone out with some friends, and they're like, "Oh, yeah," they asked what he was doing on the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade for the first time." They're like, "You're just now watching that?"
Yeah. Sorry.
You're like, sorry that I've missed it for however many years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, oh, you lucky dog. You get to
Mm.
experience it brand new for the
Uh-huh.
first time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, excuse me. And then, if you happen to be in the northwestern corner of Indiana and or the Chicago-ish area, this weekend, this Saturday, is the Fan Fest at the Hammond Public Library, which last year it was online. It was all virtual, but I did a live panel with Laura and Elena from And So Wings Half the Battle, among other people, talking about podcasting and other fandom related stuff. But then this year they are going to have it in person, and I will be there with a table.
neat.
So this is my first time going to this in person. I have no idea really what to expect, but I'm sure it will be fun. So,
Awesome.
and it's completely free. There's going to be crafts and games. There's going to be a cosplay contest. They're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh.
Which, if I wasn't tabling, I would be like, hello, can I play,
Mhm.
please?
Oh, well, okay. Finish this, and then I have a bit of news-ish.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But you can check out the entire schedule on the website, which I'll help link to in the show notes. So
Sweet. That's
Nice.
always the fun thing about because we do our library system does ToshoCon, and it's like a mini anime convention for teens. Although I think they've started letting a few adults in. Jared's on the committee for it, and they just had it, and it's like, yeah, your library, like if you can't go to, if you can't afford like the big ticket conventions, sometimes your local library will maybe they can't get like the big name guests, but you can still have some fandom fun at your library.
And if you don't make it a habit of patronizing your local library anyway, this gets you in the door, and you might learn a few things about what your library can do for you besides just let you borrow books.
Oh, let me tell you the ways.
Yeah.
No, seriously, like this past weekend, I actually started a Pokemon Go club at my library, and we just went because we're right next to a park, and we just went walking, and everyone had a good time. And I'm like, this is the first one, and I had no idea like who would show up, how many, if they like it, and I'm like, well, this is a success. Let me go schedule like 5 more. So. Yeah. Anyway, that was not the news that I was reminded of when Rachel was talking, but there's a nice little segue. So speaking of D&D, if you are in the market for a really cool Christmas present, or you just want some awesome dice, and I posted a link to this on our Facebook page, but we can include it in the show notes. And I'm not just saying this because it's my younger sister and her husband. It's called Runecast Dice. Their website just went live last Wednesday, whenever the 12th was, or Thursday. I can't remember. But anyway, it's live, and they are making handmade resin cast dice. Like my brother-in-law makes these like from scratch, so, and they're like all kinds of really neat colors.
Nice.
I've already bought a few sets for Jared's Christmas, although he already knows that he's getting them because I had him pick the color that he wanted, because I kept looking at all the colors, and they're working on more, as I understand it, and it's like I don't know what color you're gonna want, because I see a few of these that I think you'd like. So yeah,
That's
so I mean, yes. So they are kind of pricey. It's not like, the Chessex ones you get at your local game
Well, I mean,
store.
these are handmade.
Yes,
so.
these are handmade.
Yes.
He made the molds himself, and he is mixing the color schemes.
Yeah. And resin is not the easiest thing to work with.
No,
either.
But yeah. But they are well balanced, so that they're he explained the process to me, and I'm just like, I don't know. And then I think my sister,
the colors are gorgeous.
Yes, and they all like have this like Norse themed naming and stuff. But yeah, there are some pretty dice. So if you're wanting to get a really nice set of dice, like your special whatever set you use them for, or if your current dice are failing you every saving throw and you're dying over and over, maybe you need to invest in something a little better. So we'll put a link into the show notes, and yeah, it's called Runecast Dice. You can also they're on Instagram. You can check out their work and stuff, and they're only going to expand, so keep an eye on them. And save your pennies, because they nice.
They very nice.
It's like I haven't been playing lately just because life, and I'm like, I wanted a set because I just want to look at them.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I was like, I did my Gen Con purchases, which you can see that on our YouTube channel, and even in there, I'm like trying to explain why I had bought some dice when I'm not actively playing anything at the moment. I'm like, why do I really need to explain myself? If you play,
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
If you play anything, you get it.
Yeah. Well, and I even asked my dad, or my dad was asking me, because he's like, okay, because Ben, my brother-in-law, was like just explaining to us about the dice and how he made them and all this stuff. And my daddy, he kind of gets it, like he knows Jared and I play, and like the first thing Jared ever gave me like as a gift was a set of dice. And so he's like, okay, I know this is a big deal, but like, is there really a market for this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, Dad, Jared has been playing for years and years and years. and he's got all kinds of dice. Doesn't matter that he's got all these sets of dice. Like we have bags of them. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
We'll go to the game store and he wants to stop and look at the dice. And he will often buy a set. Doesn't matter that he's got all these other ones. I mean, at home, he wants a new set. Same thing. We go to Comic-Con or anywhere that there's someone's selling dice. It's like gotta stop. So yes, there's definitely
remind me next year when Gen Con is back at full scale to send pictures for your dad to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Facebook groups I'm a part of now.
Yeah.
To look at the pretty dice.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, these are absolutely gorgeous. And there is a sale. How long does this sale go? It ends tomorrow. It's the 19th. So hopefully we'll get this out before the sale ends and you can get $10, at least $10 off some of these. But yeah, they are so pretty. It's not on here now because I think I bought the last one probably. It was like the ice ones are like had this like this ice and then the number the like white bluish ice kind of look and then the numbers were copper. So I got those. Cool. But these flames of Monstropolis, I'm like, ooh, that might be my next purchase.
The sapphire one is like,
So yeah, so these are the ones you take into battle because when you need the dice to roll your way, and your everyday dice just ain't cutting it. Yeah. There you go. So anyway, yay dice.
Yay!
So again, Rune, it's runecastdice.com. That's Rune is RUNE. But we will put a link in the show notes so you can look at the dice and covet.
Yes.
And possibly buy. I mean, I am trying to support my sister and my brother-in-law as well, but they are good. So
hey, shop local, support a family-owned business.
Yes. And it's they run everything. They live in a little apartment and they run everything out of there because when I got my shipment in, it was like, hey, I know that address. They run the return address. But yeah, so they're looking to expand as much as they can. So, but it's a quality product. Cool.
Right. Moving on to feedback. Speaking of Chrissy's sisters,
it's
another
not
sister.
Yeah, this is a different sister, but yes,
you have a few.
I have several sisters. Yes.
So one of her other sisters sent feedback. And she says she too loved Marvel's What If. Turns out better than she thought it would. Favorite episodes are the Captain Carter, the Black Panther Star-Lord, and the Doctor Strange and Party Thor episodes, which are all pretty much my favorites as well. Plus she loves the zombie episode with Scott Lang's floating head. And Peggy and Natasha's friendship. Yes. And then apparently she's made a list of all the Captain Carter things that she wants, starting her Christmas list early, I guess. Never too early to start.
Hey, we've already been doing our Christmas shopping because we don't want Christmas to get stuck in a port in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Same here.
She says the Doctor Strange episode reminds her of the 2002 movie The Time Machine with Guy Pearce and Jeremy Irons. She says, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's pretty good, kind of cheesy. I've not seen that one. I've seen the original. I don't know if it was necessarily the original, but I've saw The Time Machine from like 1960 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which the special effects do not hold up, but I'm sure at the time were state of the art and people were like, oh my goodness, this is, but it's still pretty good. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was not sure how it is kind of cheesy. Just the idea of the time machine in general, that kind of story is just kind of cheesy in general. but
But
it is
still
pretty good.
enjoyable.
Yes.
I mean, good grief, we're Doctor Who fans over
Exactly.
here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly.
We tolerate a certain amount of cheese.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she also says that she read Haley Atwell's going to be in an anime series that's based on a video game that's going to be on Netflix. I think I saw that somewhere, but I'm not much into video games or anime, so
It rings a bell, but sometimes the Netflix anime series are kind of hit and miss, so I don't really get too much into it, but
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
yeah. So yeah, I vaguely remember saying something about that, but I was like, that doesn't necessarily seem to be my cup of tea. So interesting. Anyway, and then she says she hopes next season we'll get that storyline about Gamora taking over Thanos' job. Yeah, with her and Thanos' armor that we saw for a second. And then she says maybe they'll recast Black Panther, Star-Lord for this show, which I don't know if necessarily they'll go back to the characters that we've already seen other than that Gamora, because we didn't get a full episode about her. I imagine a lot of the characters that we got, we're probably not going to see again, except for maybe Captain Carter, because they did kind of leave that open there at the end with her maybe potentially being reunited with Steve. Maybe, sort of. So
Doesn't matter what universe it is. Peggy and Steve forever.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's just kind of the way they roll. So,
OTP, y'all.
yeah,
Mhm.
I can't see them recasting T'Challa even for the animated stuff.
Yeah.
After the fact, it would just seem kind of sacrilegious. Like they're not recasting him in live action. And Chadwick was so excited to do the voice acting for the cartoon that, he got to do it. It should just kind of let it be, because it literally is Chadwick's last piece of work that he did before he died. So
Mhm.
in my humble opinion.
Yeah. We'll see what they decide.
Yep. So, but Shalane, thank you for the feedback as always.
Yes, indeed.
Moving on to this week's main topic, which with it being the spooky season, you know us, we don't necessarily like getting into your traditional
The Halloween crazy slasher.
Halloween
Mhm.
fare. But since
I was at Walmart the other day and just kind of, I go over by the electronics and look through, the $5 bin, see if there's anything good. And sometimes there's some gems, but I walked by this display of like Halloween classics, and it's all like, Chucky and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and Saw, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, where's it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. That's more my
Right.
speed.
yeah.
Or the worst witch with Tim
Yeah.
Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chauncey was watching Hocus Pocus the other night, so
Nice. Come on.
Yes.
yes,
Hocus Pocus.
which I think is what we did last year.
Yes.
So
Yes, we did.
yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we're gonna review a monster movie, but not
Maybe
those,
not the one you're expecting.
yes.
To quote
We've got
Paul
some
McGann.
lovable monsters.
Yes. Well, and it just so happens that the first movie had its 20-year anniversary this year, so
Oh my goodness.
that makes it even more appropriate. But yes, we're going to be talking about the Pixar Monsters Inc. franchise. So
Yes.
uh,
And recently Alex got clued in onto it, and there was one Saturday, like, I was just not feeling well. Jared was doing something, and we just watched Monsters Inc. all day, like over and over, and I'm
Nice.
like, I don't even care.
Nope.
But he loved it, and I was happy. I was like, kid, you've got good taste.
mhm.
Because this is one of those Pixar classics,
Yes.
Mhm.
if such a term can be coined. But
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to be completely frank here. I had not actually watched either movie all the way through before.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this was actually my first time seeing Monsters Inc. from front to back
Wow.
well,
in one go. So
Nick had to get his first taste of Indiana Jones, so I guess it follows that you should get your first
I know
full
the
sit
character.
through.
Like I
Yeah.
know the
Mhm.
characters. Like I've done the Disney attractions.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so you know the premise.
I
and
knew,
you know,
I know the premise. I knew the premise of both of the movies, but I just never sat down and watched it all the way through before, and I was pleasantly surprised about how much I enjoyed this. I mean, it being Pixar movie, of course, they're going to tug at the heartstrings a little bit, when
Yes.
Sulley has to say bye to Boo when he thinks he's never going to see her before. But compared to some of the other Pixar movies, this is not one that's going to have you like bawling your eyes out.
No.
But there is
These
a
are
lot
just
of
kind of
heart.
fun
Yes.
movies with a lot of heart, but they're not going to
Yeah.
be like,
It's a good balance between heart, humor, action. The world building is really good. The whole setup, and it's like it's one
Mhm.
of those things that it's like, it's just a thing that we all know about. Is if you're when you're a kid and there's something creepy in your room at night that kind of freaks you out, and the whole monster in your closet thing. And so they like
Mhm.
took that whole concept and just expanded on it and just said,
Yep.
well, yeah, there's monsters in your closet, but they're scaring you because it's their source of energy, their source of to
Mhm.
keep their city and their civilization moving. So
Mhm.
it's like it's nothing personal, but it's their
No.
job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's and I this last time we watched it, and I mean, I don't know why I always have to be reminded of this, but I do. But John Goodman is such a phenomenal actor,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
as a voice actor. It's like
Yes.
I watched this movie and I'm like, that is John Goodman in a Sulley suit. It's like,
Yes,
you can't tell
exactly.
me otherwise. It's like he
Mhm.
is.
Yes.
That is his
Reservation
performance.
under Googly Bear and that hand motion. You could just see him in real life if he was acting out the scene in person. You could see
Yes.
him do the hand motions.
Yes, I
Mhm.
mean, I know the animators do, they take cues from the voice actors performances in the booths, but it's like,
Mhm.
wow, like between his performance and the animation, oh gosh, I'm like, I kind of, I
And-
mean,
and-
I know
and
we're kind of, I'm kind of, I've said I'm kind of over the live action remakes, but I'm like, could we do one of Monsters Inc. where John
Mhm.
Goodman is Sulley?
and his chemistry.
Or just do him in motion capture.
Or yeah, do that.
And
Just like
it's
they do
like-
Mark Ruffalo for the Hulk.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I mean Billy Crystal, he is no less amazing as Mike.
No
It's-
slouch. But
no.
their chemistry together, it's just like, oh my
Mhm.
word.
It's like it's like I don't know if they've done anything before or since, but I'm like, who like
Well, I mean, they did the sequel
okay, well, I mean like
Yeah.
beyond,
in the
Mike
series.
and Sully. Yeah. But I'm talking about like, did they do anything? Have they done anything else in a different
Oh, yeah,
franchise
yeah.
or whatever?
Well,
But
and the
it's-
thing is we almost didn't get Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
He actually, at one point, he actually auditioned for Buzz Lightyear. Or no, he'd been offered the
No,
role
he'd
of
been
Buzz
offered
Lightyear.
it, and
he
thought
turned it
was-
down.
Yeah, he didn't.
And
think
then when
much
he
of
saw
it.
the movie afterwards, he's like, "Oh, I really screwed up."
Yeah.
So then he was like, they were like, "Well, we can, we
We'll
can come
keep you
up
in
with something
mind."
for it. And he's like, no, just keep me in mind. Just do what you're going to do. And when something comes along you think I'm a fit for, call me. And yeah, the years later, John Lasseter called, and his wife answered the phone and was like, hey, we got something for you. So yeah, but at one point, maybe it wasn't for Mike, maybe it was for Sulley. I can't find it was for Sulley. They were going to offer it to Bill Murray.
Oh, wow.
And Bill Murray, I guess being Bill Murray, he even tested for it. And they were like, yeah, we're gonna, they decided, we'll offer it to Bill Murray. Couldn't get a hold of him.
Oh gosh.
And they just took that as him saying no. And so they ended up giving it to John Goodman. So,
Honestly,
which, Bill Murray being Bill Murray, that is kind of sounds like a very Bill Murray thing to do, actually.
yeah.
Just,
and honestly,
ghost him.
It's one of those things. It's like, I mean, maybe if he had done it, it would be, easier to picture, but I can't see anybody but Tim Allen doing Buzz Lightyear, and I can't see anybody but John Goodman doing Sulley. It's just, those parts just fit the actor.
Yeah.
And it's like that actor is always going to be those characters.
Yeah. Well, and Billy Crystal, I mean, if you've ever seen, like behind the scenes footage of voice actors, they tend to be sequestered by themselves in a single sound booth. But Billy Crystal and John Goodman actually recorded a lot of their stuff together in the same recording booth, so they could play off of each other.
Yeah. And so that's why their chemistry is just so good. Just like, okay, you guys need to do another movie, something else together, because you guys are just pitch perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is definitely one of my favorites. And then, I mean, and then like all the other characters, I mean, because like Sulley and Mike carry the movie, but then like all the ones around them, like crap, now I've forgotten her name. It just went out of my head. Mike's girlfriend.
Oh, Celia.
Celia.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's just, the
Jennifer
whole
Tilly.
Yes. It's like, oh gosh, you two are adorable. And I mean, I know, Sully's kind of like, okay, guys, wrap it up. But it's like, oh, come on, let him be mushy and cute, because it's fun.
Yeah, and then you got Steve Buscemi as Randall.
And it's like actors.
He kind of looks like Steve Buscemi. So
yes. Well, and you think like actors playing antagonists, you don't always think of Steve Buscemi.
Right.
Because for a long time Randall is the he is the bad guy. And I mean, yeah, this is one of those, although this was before it became a real running gag that they had the surprise villains. But yeah, Randall being the villain for most of the movie, it's like, wow, Steve Buscemi's got range.
Yeah. I've always kind of considered him to be, I don't know, I haven't seen him really in anything other than, I think, The Big Lebowski, which he and John Goodman are both in.
Yeah.
So he's not really anything. He's just one of the guys in that. But he just kind of has that look, like he should be playing the antagonist.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of meaning like the really the big bad villain, because he's even got a little sidekick played by Frank Oz.
Yes.
But if you listen, you can hear Fozzie or
Yoda.
Yoda in the voice, but it is still Fungus. It's just like, wow, you got Frank Oz to do
this. That was my
This
nickname in high school. I'm not kidding. My nickname was Fungus in high school.
Yours was?
Yes.
Wow. have to tell that story sometime.
Yes.
I was in marching band,
Mhm.
and it was one of those things where, you get, they didn't necessarily do like initiations or anything, but eventually everyone would end up with some sort of nickname bestowed on them for some reason, one, or another. And I got referred to as a fungus by one of the drum majors, and when drum major nicknames you don't really have any choice in the matter. So.
It's
Oh, okay. So it's not like you had, a bad case of athlete's foot or
No.
something. They just called
No.
you fungus.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yep. When someone of a higher authority nicknames you, you're kind of
Yep.
whatever they call you, that's what people are going to roll with. So,
especially in high school when you're one of the lower class,
yes.
lower classes, you're like, yeah, the seniors or whoever. Yep, that's just how it is.
Yep.
And you deal with it, and then you wait till you're a senior and you can pick on the freshmen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, so yeah, where do we get there? Steve Buscemi being the villain.
Yes. And Frank Oz being fungus.
Frank Oz being fungus.
Yeah. And the cute little girl, Mary Gibbs,
Oh.
playing Boo, who was I don't know how old she was exactly when she did this, but I guess she was old enough that she could have done lines, but she wouldn't sit still long enough in the recording studio. So what they do is they just followed her around with a microphone and let her play, and they just chose the best noises and things that she would say while she was playing and use that for Boo's audio.
which with that being the what they had to do, they got some stuff that really worked well in the story. Like, when she says, when she's at the sushi restaurant and she goes boo and everyone freaks out, or calling Sulley kitty
yes,
and all those kinds of things. So
well, and then her doing the was it Mike Lebowski.
Oh, Mike
Wazowski, yeah. Sorry, Rachel with her, the Big Lebowski. It just kind of.
I'm sure there's maybe a connection there.
Probably, yes.
Some influence. Like, well, I got Steve Buscemi and John Goodman in this movie, so Lebowski, close enough. We'll make it work. So, yeah, because I mean, at this point, this is 2001, at least when this was released. I'm sure the production started years before that, because these Pixar movies take ages to animate and process. Even with the software that Pixar was using, even at the very beginning, made things easier as far as drawing, as opposed to hand drawing, hand-drawn animation. Once you do a sequence of frames, you have to render those, which essentially means you have to, tell the computer to process all of these frames in a way that when I play them back, it's a seamless series, so it just looks like smooth animation. But Sulley is so hairy. Everyone in the audience goes, how hairy is he?
You're right.
Oh, I'll tell you how hairy he is.
2.3 million individually animated hair strands. So it would take 11 to 12 hours just to render a single frame of Sulley.
Ouch.
Because of all of his hair. Yeah, that was this came out back when you look at Toy Story, where the characters are toys because they're plastic looks good at that time in CG.
Mhm.
And so, when we finally get to the point where they can do hair in CGI, so like, when Shrek came out, Fiona's hair was a big deal. Monsters Inc. came out, and Sulley being furry was a big deal because they made it look so good in that
Mhm.
sort of thing. So it's like, yeah. So I mean, storytelling wise, it's a great movie, but also technically, it is a fantastic movie too because of all of the stuff they had to do to make it look as good as they did.
Mhm. Exactly. Which, I haven't seen anything that says this is the case, but there's a little part of me that's all like wondering if maybe having the running gag of the one monster constantly having a 2319 called him, and eventually to the point where they shave him hairless, may have had something to do with this.
That is possible. I mean, Pixar is not above letting real life write the plot and make the jokes.
Mhm.
Like, this is great, but we can't have too many hairy monsters, so this poor guy is just going to constantly end up with socks on him, and eventually he's going to get shaved down.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like most of the monsters are kind of lizardy or don't have hair.
Yes.
Right.
Like
I mean, even Celia, her hair is just little monsters, little snakes.
It's snakes.
Mhm.
She's sort of a Medusa type thing, which is genius because you think.
And when I love when she gets ticked, her snakes get angry.
Yep. Or when they when like the guys in yellow suits catch up to her, and so she has to wear the cone of shame, and then all their little snakes have cones of shame too.
Yes.
But yeah, they use the snakes all have their little personalities. Like, when she talks about, I think I'm getting your hair cut, and Mike's like, no, it looks great. I love everything about you. And the snakes are like,
out. They're like,
thank
what?
Goodness.
Yeah.
Why do you want to? We don't want to get cut.
Listen to your boyfriend, please.
Yes.
He speaks the truth.
It's like, we don't want to land on the barbershop floor.
Yeah. Exactly. And Celia and Mike's relationship is just those two are adorable.
Yes.
Even though she puts up with a lot of crap from him.
Mhm.
Yes, but he's like, he tries so hard, even
He
he's like,
does.
he's like, he got reservations at the really fancy restaurant, and
Mhm.
it's, he wants it to be, her birthday to be really special, and then he forgets to file his paperwork, so he's flipping out because he's like, if we don't want to lose our reservation. So then, Sulley helps him out with that, and that sort of gets the plot moving. But
Yes.
Yeah.
In the restaurant that Mike takes Celia to, Harryhausen's,
Mhm.
named after
Ray
Harryhausen, the
Harryhausen,
man who
yep.
did the stop motion animation for movies like Jason and the Argonauts back in the 60s.
Yep.
Mhm.
Typical Pixar, paying
there's
homage
but there are so many Easter eggs in here, not just to. I mean, there's always your usual Pixar Easter eggs. There's going to be the Pizza Planet truck. They
Mhm.
always put a reference to whatever movie is next. So
Yeah.
like when they're at the sushi restaurant, there's a picture of Nemo on one of the walls because Finding Nemo was the next movie
Mhm.
in the pipeline.
We get a nod to Toy Story.
Yes, yeah. And then there's always going to be
Andy.
references to
Yeah.
previous movies too. So
Yeah, the Pixar ball is in Boo's room.
Yep.
At the end, that might be her first scene too. But yeah,
And there's a blink and you miss Doctor Who reference. There is a TARDIS store in one of those doors.
with all the doors that they had to come up with for those scenes when they're in the door storage area, that does not surprise me that the TARDIS made it in at some point. It's like,
I missed that. I would have to go back and look for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one of those like you really have to search and pause and freeze frame, but it's in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one thing Pixar has a lot of fun with, is putting in as much inside jokes, references to Pixar employees, like the when Sulley and Randall are competing for the all-time scare record, and all the other names on the scoreboard are all Pixar employees,
Nice.
like you do.
Yeah, like
So,
you do.
They do that a lot, where they'll put in names of people and stuff, name businesses after them. So, let's
Well,
see,
you know,
what
when
else?
you need a name for something, it's go
Yeah.
with who you know.
Yeah, when we get to the end of the movie, and the company has changed, so now they're harnessing laughter instead of screams.
Yeah.
There's a a poster with the 10 rules of comedy on the work floor. Number 1, punchline does not mean hit the child. 2, don't howl at your own jokes. 3, tentacles funny, razor sharp claws not funny. 4, multiple heads should speak one at a time. 5, no claws for tickling. 6, scared kids don't laugh. 7, try not to hurt the audience. 8, always keep sharp spikes in. 9, you won't laugh if you don't take a bath.
Oh God.
And number 10, never let them see you slobber.
Oh.
Which they end up taking that premise and use that for the attraction that is at the Magic Kingdom in Florida, in Tomorrowland, the Monsters Inc. laugh floor. So it's you're essentially going into Monsters Inc., the company, and while you're waiting, you hear announcements over the PA system from like Celia and Roz, and stuff, like, so and so, please pick up your deliveries or whatever, that sort of thing. But there's a dedicated number that you can text to and send in jokes. And obviously they need to be short and clean, but it's fun, especially for little kids, to come up with what they think are funny jokes.
It's like Laffy Taffy wrappers.
Yeah, kind of, or popsicle sticks. And then once you go in, it is a quote unquote stage show, because Disney, they have several attractions like this where they have the ability to do live animation with certain characters. Like they also do this with Crush over at Epcot, where they are able to have the CG animated character and have them speak live to like the audience. So what they do is they're doing a comedy show, like if you've ever been to like a nightclub to see like stand up, and they do several different acts with some of the characters that you'd recognize, and then the closing like act is one of the characters, it's Mike's nephew, which I can't remember the kid's name, reads off, maybe it is Mike's nephew, maybe it's Mike, either one, that reads off some of the jokes that people texted in before. And there's some other things you'd have to, it's one of those you kind of have to experience it, or you can go and like find someone's video of it on YouTube and watch it. But it's pretty cool, the fact that they're able to do Mike Wazowski in real life, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so they want laughter instead of screams, because laughter is more powerful. So they have this comedy club. They want people to come in and laugh, not just kids, but everybody. to help keep Monstropolis running. Which is quite fun.
Sweet.
Yep. And then at Disneyland, it's just a dark ride where it's a little ride vehicle and takes you through essentially the story of the first Monsters Inc. movie with Boo and Randall and the doors and everything. But then Roz is there at the end as you're waiting to pull into the unloading bay, and she speaks. And she will pick people out and make comments on them. So,
Oh boy.
Wow.
That's pretty funny too. I think we've got video of that from our trip to Disneyland. I think she ends up picking on Chauncey while we're waiting. So I have to see. I think we have that on video because that's why she picked him out, because he was sitting there with the video camera obviously pointed at her. So I'm pretty sure we've got that. So I'll have to see if I can find that somewhere and share it.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
So yeah, so the even though they've not, well, now they've got the series on Disney Plus, The Monsters at Work, which I've not watched yet. But yeah, because they really haven't done anything with that IP since the second movie came out in 2013.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got references and attractions at several of the Disney parks. I want to say there's one in Paris or Tokyo. I think it may be Tokyo. That's kind of like the dark ride at Disneyland, but better. So I think it's a slightly different concept as far as the ride vehicle and the layout and everything. So, but yeah. So, and they used to have Mike and Sulley as meetable characters in the parks. I've seen them around. But yeah, not as usually it's going to be whatever the latest and greatest is.
Yeah. I'm sure, Frozen is still
yes,
the big man on campus, as it were.
Yeah, or whatever the current Pixar is. So, which would be what, Luca? Is that the most recent Pixar movie?
I think so. I have lost track of all of them.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, the first Monsters Inc. It's cute. Like I said, it does tug at the heartstrings a little, but it's not going to be like devastating like Up or Toy Story 3.
But I mean, you still like when I was watching it with Alex not that long ago, you still are like, oh, you don't want Boo to leave, and Sulley and them to say goodbye, and that whole thing with her, they shred the door, and you'll never see her again, and it's just, and it's kind of like the whole
that one piece.
Yeah, and it's just kind of funny that you're watching the movie and you're kind of trying to pinpoint the exact moment when Sulley and Boo just kind of clicked together, because at first he's like freaking out, what do? We got to send her back, all this stuff, and then it just as the movie goes on, it's not like one big moment. There's like all these little moments, and some moments are a little more dramatic than others, but like there's that bit where they're at Sully's apartment, and she cuddles in his bed, and and he's setting out like a little, basically a dog bed and some cereal for her, and she's
kind of like the ET treatment, like follow the cereal, and then she's scared of Randall because she thinks he's gonna come through the thing, and I don't know, it's just the whole thing, and the whole time Mike is like, we gotta get rid of her, and then Sulley just sort of she's his little buddy, and it's like by the end of the movie, he's trying to send her home, but he doesn't want to never see her again. And Mike understands that. He said, come with me, big guy.
Yeah.
I did the best I could. There's a lot of wood, and you see his hands, so know
him that put the door back together. Because I hate to say it, I think Mike liked Boo too. That Boo grew on him, and he just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah. You know, when she learned his name, Mike Wazowski. You just, you know, it's just this cute little kid, and you know, the whole time, you know, Mike is the best scarer in the world, or you know, in the company, and then it you know, but that's his job. But he just gets his connection with Boo, and then there's that moment where, you know, he's in the scare simulator, and he's in, you know, Water News tells him, oh, you know, show these rookies how it's done, and he scares the dummy, and it freaks out Boo, and it's, you know, it's just all these cool little moments that you're like, oh, you know, he's not trying to be scary, he's not trying to be mean, he's just doing his job. But you know, at the same time, just doing your job, he's like, no, there's got to be a different way to do this, because you know, Scream isn't working anymore for whatever reason.
And I think, you know, when Boo lands at their place, when she starts giggling and they get that power surge, I think the two of them kind of like, we might be onto something here, but we got to keep it under our hats.
Yeah, I mean, it takes them a while to really be like, oh, it's laughter that's, you know, works better than Scream. So, you know, so it's just all these little things just sort of weave together in this really great story that, gosh, you just love it. And that Boo is the center of it all, and it's this cute little girl, and it's not just because she's a cute little girl, although that doesn't hurt, but you know, her personality, like, and that's why learning that, you know, the girl who did the voice, they just kind of followed her around with a microphone, and it's like, all, you know, that kind of personality came through from a toddler just babbling. And I mean, I know how toddlers babble, I know how Lottie babbles and everything, and it's like, it is cute, but how could you make a movie with a character just with that dialogue? And it's like, well, they did it, and she's one of the best parts of the movie.
And how much babbling footage did they get? And it's like, probably what to pick.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's not just, you know, oh, we're just going to stick this babbling in, because Boo kind of has to be the big catalyst for the plot, that she's there, and you know, and you know, the monsters are just as scared of the kids as the kids are scared of the monsters, but she's just adorable. And you know, to see this great big furry monster, you know, screaming because she's there and he's running away from her, and then, I mean, that was one of the best parts of the trailer. I remember, like, there's the bit where Sulley, they're in like the locker room or the bathroom, and he's running away yelling, and she's running after him going, Kitty!
Hey, Kitty,
like,
come here.
And it's like, oh, it's that kind of movie.
Well, and then when they dress her up in her little monster suit,
oh,
it's like,
yes.
You're so cute.
And, you know, she's
take your obscure relative to work day.
It's my cousin's brother's daughter.
Sisters, yeah.
And Water News just goes, oh, must have missed the memo. Like, he totally just buys it. Or, you know, he's just, you know, he's got other things on his
with
plate.
Other things.
Yeah, because the child.
And because I had not seen this before, I did not see Water News being in league with Randall coming. And I didn't see Roz being part of the undercover operation.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like villain reveals and big twists, this is one of those that's like, oh, this is how you do it. Because, you know, you know, when you've worked, it doesn't, you know, in an office or some kind of, there's always that one employee that's just, you know, that supervisor or whatever, who's just like, you didn't file your paperwork right, or, you know, just real stickler for all those kinds of things. And so you just kind of like, oh, you know, this is a movie about, you know, parodying, you know, office relationships, workplace politics, that kind of thing. For you know, it's in a kids movie, so you just are kind of like, oh, it's that character, it's that person. But no, she's that way because she's in charge of the this sting operation trying to figure out whatever, and they don't go into like what brought them here to this. They just kind of say, "Oh, this I didn't realize this went all the way up to Water News." But it's like you don't need to know all of the gory details. It's just, oh, there's been this thing going on. Okay, and Roz is the one in charge. Strange, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, which they end up circling back to in the sequel. Which, well, I say sequel, it's actually a prequel.
Right.
But it's the second movie.
It's a weird thing, but yeah, let's talk about.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the them decided to do the timeline like that, but I really enjoyed Monsters University too. And I love how they ended up circling back to things like Mike and Randall end up as roommates.
Yes.
And at first they're really good friends, but then when they get into this whole Scream Greek thing, competition,
right,
to find out who's the best scarer on campus, and Randall ends up like losing to Sulley in something, I can't remember exactly what, and he's like, that's the last time I lose to you, James P. Sullivan. Like, and there's the start of the rivalry.
And
Monsters Inc.
And Nathan Fillion does an awesome job with his character.
Oh yeah, I mean the cast in the first one is pretty impressive, but then because if we have all these new characters in the second one, and you've got John Krasinski, who plays the monster who gives Mike the MU hat when he's on the field trip. You've got Nathan Fillion as like the big goon at like the bro fraternity, the one full of all the bros. You got Helen Mirren as the dean of the scare school. You've got Aubrey Plaza as the Greek council president, doing a lot of the announcing for the games. So yeah, the cast list for the second movie is just as impressive as the first one, and the fact that they're able to eventually work in some things that happened in the first movie in with the second, which a lot of it are visual Easter eggs that you kind of have to look for, especially at the end of the movie when Mike is at his locker, and you see all sorts of things, like there's a Post-it that's all crumpled up on his as it goes through the timeline from he and Mike's or he and Sully's first day working the way up through the ranks to eventually becoming a scare team. And there's a Post-it note that appears on the inside the door that's all crinkly. It says, "Remember to return in paperwork."
Oh yeah. There's just all these little cues. It's like, I get that.
Yeah. Well, and when the recovery team shows up at the university after they destroy all the doors, and the recovery team is all like, what's going to happen with all this, these doors to the, this destroyed doors and stuff, and we know just the guys in the yellow suits, but then there's one person, it's obviously Roz, but she's in a yellow suit, and she's like, you don't need to worry about it. Like, what's going to happen to Mike and Sulley? It's like, we'll keep the eyes on them because we're watching, always watching. And her number on her suit is just like 00001. The top of like the chain at the recovery.
That was always the best part, when she walks in and on her vest, it's like, she's numero uno, and everybody else has got these really high, 4-digit numbers or whatever.
She's the Edna Mode of Monsters Inc.
Yes.
That way.
Holy cow!
Something,
Yes.
So Yeah, there's just and so the little references to other, like I said, they like to put references to non-Pixar related things, like the first night that Mike and Sulley are spending the night in their fraternity, and they're on the bunk beds. And you see them the next morning, they're fast asleep, but Mike, Sully's arm, because he's so large, he's on the top bunk, so his arm is hanging down, and Mike's using it as a pillow. He's just cuddling with it, and he's like mumbling in his sleep, and he's like, I know you're a princess, and I'm just a stable boy. And I'm like, that's a Princess Bride reference.
Oh yes.
Even if he didn't play Wesley in the Princess Bride, he's in the Princess Bride. Billy Crystal is. So.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Like, good on you, Pixar, putting a Princess Bride reference in there.
And have it be Billy Crystal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the story with the second one is, this whole idea of Mike really wants to be a scarer, as his profession. And then you've got Sulley, who comes into the same university with all of these expectations already on him because he comes from a legacy of scarers. The last name Sullivan is kind of like infamous in the scare world. So they both have like these expectations on them, but coming from different places, because Mike has been, he wants to be a scarer, yet he's always been overlooked for like everything. We see them go on the field trip, and nobody wants to be his partner, his field trip buddy, so he ends up having to be buddies with the teacher. And even after a while, she doesn't even bother to hang out with him, and then he, they're watching the scare floor at work, doing their thing, and he can't see because he's shortest one in the class, and nobody will let him get up to the front.
It's that running gag, like, he's always covered up in the magazine, or in the commercial, or things like that, but he still is ecstatic that I was on TV and everything. So it's like, this is where he kind of figures out, like, oh, hi, I'm that we'll be okay with this. This is kind of what I do. But and then by the end of the first movie, where they're doing laughter instead of scaring, that's his thing. So the story all just kind of wraps around, and it's all good.
Yeah, but it's just interesting, the kind of the moral, I guess, of the second movie, which, because the first movie is just kind of like corporate espionage type of thing, which is gonna go over a little kid's head. But this second movie is kind of, like the outside world's expectations for you versus the expectations you have for yourself.
Although I will say, like, the moral, it feels like the kind of the bare bones plot of it. I'm like, I've seen this in a Disney Channel movie several times.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but it's kind of interesting though to have someone like Mike Wazowski, who just really wants to be a scarer, and no matter how much heart he has and how much belief he has in himself, he's just not built for the role. He just does not have the personality for it. His strengths are better used elsewhere. Meanwhile, Sulley has the natural talent, but not necessarily the academic drive to get the academic credentials that go with it. But then, as we see in the first movie, neither of them having to, neither of them actually going to college, let alone finishing college and getting that academic, paper that says, yes, you've completed these courses, just goes to show that they don't,
academics ain't all what it's
cracked up to be, because they become one of the best scare teams in the entire company.
Moral of the story, kids: trade school.
Well, it just goes to show that no matter how much you may want to do something, And yeah, believing in yourself is very important, but you also have to be realistic. Like, you're not gonna, no matter how much, I don't know, like Shaquille O'Neal maybe at one point wanted to be like a horse jockey or something.
Yeah,
he's just not built for it, no matter how enthusiastic he may have been about it and how smart he may have been about it, knowing all the history and reading all the textbooks or anything. But just sometimes you can just enjoy something and not actually do it.
Yep.
But you can utilize you've got some talents that can be used elsewhere.
Yeah.
And still find joy in what you do.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a good lesson for life. And it's not saying like, oh, don't follow your dreams. It's more like, you have dreams and then reality meets them. And then you just kind of have to figure it out, because that's,
you have to decide. You have to decide. It's like, reality and your dreams may not meet, and you can either be bitter about it and be like Randall and just have a chip on your shoulder the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or you can be like Mike and find a new path.
Find a way to make it work.
Yeah, and find a way to make it work.
Not every kid who went to preschool on career day and said they're going to be an astronaut gets to be an astronaut. That's life. Sorry, guys.
But that is okay.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you take up astronomy or something.
Maybe you don't have to be an astronaut. Maybe you can be the person that helps the astronauts get to space.
Maybe you build the rockets.
So, Mike doesn't get to be a scare, but he gets to work with he gets to be the right-hand man to the guy who breaks the record, the all-time scoring record. So
yeah. So like,
not bad.
Everybody has a part to play. And you just have to identify what is your best way to play a part, if that makes sense. But I don't know. It's a fun little movie. It's not up to the standards of Monsters Inc. in my opinion. I mean, there are people who like absolutely hate it for reasons they do. But it's fine. It's fairly inoffensive. I still would rather watch Monsters Inc. personally, but it's a fun little flick. In fact, I dropped it. I think I put it in our show notes. There is a YouTube video from a series called Fanscription, where they do this sort of, it's kind of like How It Should Have Ended, but more in depth. Like they will like do a whole storyline of like, here's a different take on a movie that we'd like to see, and one of these is like a sequel, a proper sequel to Monsters Inc. So and it's called the movie's called What If Boo Grew Up, and it's actually like you watch these and you just check out the channel and everything, but you watch these and you're just like, dang, I feel like I just watched a whole movie with this premise, with this story. So check it out. It's an interesting take on a sequel to Monsters Inc. with an adult Boo and with her coming back to the monster world and all the stuff going on there. So yeah, take a look at it. I will put it in the show notes. It's a fun little what if sort of thing. Speaking of our topic last week.
Yeah. I can't remember which video it is, because it's from a while ago, because it would have been after the second Incredibles movie was released. But I know I think it was the Super Carlin brothers, if you watched any of their stuff on YouTube. They had obviously a fan theory video that Boo is actually Edna Mode's kid that she gave up for adoption. And they explain like the whole thing, their fan theory. So I'll just have to find it.
That's something else. I mean, I do like
trying to fit it into the Pixar theory, because the whole idea is that the Pixar universe is all one big universe.
Yeah, I do like reading about those, although after a while it kind of starts to make my head hurt.
Yeah.
So I have to do it. I have to watch them in moderation, but they are fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting idea. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of fan theory, what if sort of thing, because I mean, just the material lends itself well to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so I mean, I haven't watched Monsters at Work yet.
I haven't either.
I will tell a funny story. Like, I was at work and Alex, I guess he wanted to watch Monsters Inc. So my father-in-law was watching him, so they put it on, and it was over, and he still wanted to watch something. Well, it says, at the end of the movie, it says, because you like this, watch one of these others, and it was Monsters at Work, and my father-in-law just clicked on one of them, and I guess he thought it was still the movie or something, because it was so. He was like, I thought it was like, these are different monsters, and they're shorter, and he was like asking me like, what were those other monsters in Monsters Inc? I'm like, what? And then I was like, oh, it's the show they did, which I still haven't been able to watch, but I guess they watched a few episodes. So
I think both Billy Crystal and John Goodman came back for that, or at least some of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they watched episodes with other characters or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. He was kind of confused, and I was also confused, so I'm not exactly sure what they were referring to, but he was like, yeah, they were really short too. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, oh, it's that show. It's the TV show they did.
Well, I mean, there's monsters of all shapes and sizes in Monstropolis.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, they're walking, first movie, they're walking to work, and you have to go, Frank, good morning.
Yeah.
Although the bloopers, and I was really sad that they didn't leave the bloopers on the version on Disney.
Yeah,
Plus.
I know. There's a post-credit scene in Monsters University, though.
Yeah.
That you have to like you fast forward past all the credits to it, and the Disney Plus goes to shrink it and be like, and gives you that window where it's like, oh, if you watch this, you'll like this, and you have to go back and like, no. Make the window, the movie, the full size again, so that I can see the scene of the poor slug monster who, because he's a slug, he moves super, super slow, and he doesn't get to class until after the semester's over.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The poor kid.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The janitor he's like, I made it, my first day of school. The janitors are like, yeah, school season's over. School year's over, kid.
Yeah. But yeah, like, yeah. I mean, yeah, I was watching it and I was like, oh no, there's no bloopers. Like, they don't even have like the play that they did. Put that thing back where it came from.
Or So Help Me.
Or So Help Me. And it's like, all the songs, like Mike is singing, and I'm like, oh, and I was like, well, maybe they put it on like, the bonus features, because there's a section that they'll have like,
extras
and stuff. And no, it's not there either. So kids, get the DVD or the Blu-ray, because it's probably on there.
Yes.
Physical media is your friend. Streaming's great. Not gonna dispute that, but sometimes it's just nice to have your own thing.
Yep.
Especially when they cut stuff out like that. Like, seriously, guys.
Yeah, I know, because I want to see the blooper where it turns out that Frank is actually Rex.
Yes. Okay, I gotta see if the let me see if it's
on YouTube
like
somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
It might be
bloopers and credits. Let's see. Okay, there is somebody. Let's see. This one says it's about 4 minutes long, but does it have the play in it too? I'll drop it in our chat.
Okay.
Maybe we'll put it in the show notes too, but I'm just gonna kind of fast forward and see like what all does it have. Okay, bloopers, there's that one. Okay, la 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 la. Okay, we're rehearsing a play. Okay, yeah, so they do this video does have the musical, so it's like almost 5 minutes long. It's the whole thing. Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, like that was because in some of the other Pixar movies, they kept the post or the credit gag reels in, like Toy Story 2 they have it, and
where like like Woody keeps cracking up at
yes. Or like Woody graffitis Buzz's helmet and the wings. Although I don't know how he would have done the wings, but sure.
They're talking toys, just don't question it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
There you go.
Cool.
So anyway, that's Monsters Inc. It's one of my favorites, and a lot of people love it.
I'm glad I finally got around to watching them.
I am too, and yeah, you got to watch the blooper reel because I know people. I had a professor in film class who was like really, when I was in college, like was really down on animated movies doing blooper reels. I'm like, oh come on, it's funny.
Because I mean, you're gonna end up with bloopers, especially when you have voice actors who are naturally comedians. Like you're not going to do an animated movie with Billy Crystal and not expect him to either do a blooper or just ad lib just for the hell of it.
Right.
And come up with something funny that they can't necessarily use in the movie. But because of the animated stuff, you never get to hear it.
Yeah. Or even like the animators, I'm sure the animators like goof off and do silly things to blow off steam when it's stressful. I mean, I'm sure there's some not kid friendly stuff that
sure.
But the whole, I mean, like, I don't want to spoil it for you, Rachel, but there is one like when they do it's a 2319 and they have like the curtain come up and the whole thing goes and then the curtain comes down and it's Roz in a sparkly outfit. Then there's like a disco ball lighting all of a sudden. So anyway, you just gotta watch the gag reel. It's a hoot, and that's why I was just so bummed that they took it off the Disney Plus version. But whatever, I'm not the one in charge.
Well, thankfully we have people on the internet that are willing to share things that for free.
Yes, bless the internet forever.
Yep.
Even the really skeevy parts of it, I guess. I don't know. We got to take the good with the bad.
Yep.
Or the bad with the good. I don't know how that phrase goes.
Yep.
Anyway. So, anything else we want to discuss about this movie other than go watch it? It's not straight up a Halloween movie, but it qualifies. It's monsters.
Scary monsters.
Yeah.
Ish.
If you're not into, Saw and other weird crazy slasher films and you want, go the Monsters Inc. route. It's great.
Yep. All on Disney Plus.
Yes, it is.
As far as the feature films are concerned.
Yeah. But anyway, so if any of our viewers or listeners, oh gosh, if any of our listeners want to send us feedback about their thoughts on Monsters Inc. or anything else we've discussed on this podcast, this episode, you can send us feedback at 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. And you can also go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com, and get links to our social media and all of our ways to support us through our merch store, our Amazon links, our Patreon, and all those good things. So hope y'all are doing well. Have a good week. Hope you're getting ready for Halloween and all those other fun things that are coming up. I am definitely feeling that meme where it's like, back in August, they're like, okay, it's August. You got to get your Halloween costume, and then it'll be Thanksgiving. Oh, you better get your Christmas shopping done. Happy New Year, y'all. This time of year, it just goes fast, but it's fun.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. So, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
Oh, This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome to the Himalayas.
We forgot to talk about the snow monster. That's okay.
Anyone want a snow cone?
No, it's lemon.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You could also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.